keep fucking forgetting the name of this movie.
Kuso.
Kuso.
Yeah.
Kuzo or Kuso?
Well, it depends if you want to say it like in the actual Japanese. In the actual Japanese, it's Kuso.
Oh, I'm not doing that.
I'm gonna avoid that.
I'll
I'm
get
gonna
canceled
butcher it
immediately.
as an American. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, here we are for our first Zoom movie review. Here we have a special guest. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Count Jackula from Planet Dracula, where bad movies stalk the night. You can find me on YouTube, Twitter at Baphomet Jack, on Instagram at Satanic Jackula, or you can find me on Twitch TV under Count Jackula.
All right. So we are going to watch Kuso. I'm pronouncing that as a horrible American. And the Count here pitched this one as what we should watch. So I have him to thank.
Oh, yes.
Is this an old favorite of yours? Did you just see this? Where does this film?
Well, it's not an old favorite. It's a new favorite.
It can't be that old, but yeah.
Yeah, it came out just a few years
old.
ago. Yeah, came out about 3 years ago, and it was done by hip-hop legend Flying Lotus, who anyone who's very familiar with the Adult Swim lineup should be familiar with Flying Lotus, because he was one of the guys, along with Big Boy and Run the Jewels, that got big doing stuff for Adult Swim.
And that explains how he got so many of these fun guests in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And some of them are not even on screen; they're just voices. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, wait a minute,
where's Hannibal?
Yeah,
is that
yeah,
who
Hannibal
Buress
Buress is yeah, the voice of Hannibal Buress is in this movie.
And Donnell.
Donnell, yeah.
What type of motherfucker like to get stabbed in the dick? Holy shit! Yo, block your dick, man.
The buttress, which was really strange. I was like, wait, someone put her in a movie? I mean, sure, but I'm like surprised that it happened, you know?
There was one particular character in this that I was like, I know this person, and I couldn't put my finger on who it was.
It's George Clinton, wasn't it?
George Clinton!
Yeah.
I can kill your ass, but you got to be willing to finish the procedure, or you gonna crawl out here like a bitch. You gonna crawl out here like a little bitch.
So we are from Plainfield, as is George Clinton. So we are very familiar with Parliament and the Funkadelic. And
oh yeah.
And I'm like, I know this guy. Who the hell is this? And then the credits roll, and I'm like, what the hell?
And like, it doesn't make any sense that it would be him.
It's
but it is.
very strange.
Oh, dude, and the role that he plays in this movie, unforgettable.
Oh my! There's a lot of unforgettable things in this movie. I was trying to research and find anything out about this that I could, because it's such a weird film. I was like, I want to know how much did it cost. I want to know more about the background. Like, it's 4 kind of segments strung together with some animations and weird.
Yeah, it's strung together kind of like Pulp Fiction style. You know, not like one story discreetly ends and another begins. It's like one starts and then another one starts, and then we continue with the first one, and a third movie shows up.
Yeah, it's kind of like an anthology thing, but they're woven together like that instead of it being like
yeah.
Part 1, part 2, yeah.
Yeah. It's much more like Pulp Fiction or Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
I think that, in my opinion, I think it would have been better if they would have done it linearly, because when that first one ended and I don't know they're going to come back to it, I'm like, wait a minute, I need to know more about that.
Oh, no,
I was having a crisis. Yeah,
I
you
disagree.
like
I think
the jumbled nature of it.
Yeah, the mindfuck of that movie, to me, is the joy of it.
It's certainly a
no.
mindfuck, and there's a lot of weird shit going on, and it takes you down some paths, especially before you know you're going to ever meet these characters again, because there's a lot of interludes and weird animations and cut things, and you're like, what is that?
Yeah,
Yes.
I had the same kind of uncertainty, but then once you realize that you're in some sort of like torture device or something's happening to your brain before you die or whatever, you're like, okay, now I get it. I'm on board. I can do this. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely it is a movie that does things to you. It is. You don't watch it. It is inflicted.
It does it to you.
You know.
That is a very great way of putting it.
Without your consent in some cases.
Yes.
They were saying people walked out of the theater on this. They were like, I'm done with this. Sundance, I'm out. And I was like, okay, that's almost high praise.
Yeah, the only movie I've ever seen that is more disgusting than this is The Greasy Strangler.
That's in my queue for so long, and no one ever wants to watch that with me.
Oh, that movie is amazing. That movie is fantastic. A+ with honors.
This one kind of reminded me of. Have you seen the movie Hanger?
No, I haven't seen Hank.
There we go. I was gonna say
I
be
won't
one
necessarily
that
say that I recommend Hanger, but it reminded me of that. And what's that other one? I can't think of the name of it. It's with the stoner girl, and she's pregnant with an alien baby. What the hell is that one called?
Oh God. It's with what's her name, Natasha Lyonne.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Yes.
I can't think of the name.
God damn it! Like no.
Oh, Antibirth. Antibirth.
Okay.
Antibirth. Right.
Yes. So like there were touches of that, and I was like, but this one like kicked all of that up, like where other ones are like, it's a segment, we do these things, and here and there we get you with this. This movie was like, it's all we have, we just get you, and I'm like, okay, that is an impressive feat.
Yeah,
Which
like
made me think it was almost like, did you poach 4 different films and string them together, or did one dude do it? And I couldn't find like any information on like, were these individual story concepts?
Yeah, the whole thing was directed by Flying Lotus, and for example, like the animated segments, those were done by, I believe, a single animator.
All of them were one. That's such a weird thing because there's such a different style and weird stuff, and the quality is drastically different. And I think that's part of the unsettling nature of it.
Yeah, but the whole movie is done the way that he wanted to do it. You know, this is absolutely Flying Lotus's brainchild.
I need to know more about it.
Yeah.
I have not been an adult swimmer for like a certain number of years, so I haven't kept up. I'm not sure if I've seen.
Oh, dude. Okay.
What I need to see.
So
I recognize Tim Heidecker out of this, obviously, right, and some other stuff, but yeah.
Yeah.
The dude from Workaholics.
I also highly recommend after this you go to YouTube and check out Captain Murphy Duality, which is an album that Flying Lotus did under a different name, and that name is Captain Murphy.
Okay.
And if you're like, wait, Captain Murphy, that sounds like an Adult Swim thing. Yeah, that's where the name comes from.
In this movie, there's a lot of very much trying to disturb you scenes.
Yes.
What would you say are your top get you scenes in this film?
Well, if you mean disgust,
you can take that however you want to.
All right, if we're talking about the most disgusting, the one with the piles of fungus shit.
Okay.
That was the one where I was like, oh,
the most interesting part of this is going to be the words people use to describe each segment. Yeah.
I described that one as like trust the fungus from Super Mario Brothers. I was like, it's like that, but it's a butt.
Yeah, like I refer to them as the shit fungus.
Yeah, I take notes while I watch stuff when we're gonna talk about it, and I'm like, tree anus monster is his dad though, I think, and he feeds it shit. I'm not sure. Oh God, I'm trying to it's all this crazy.
Oh no, you're right there.
Yeah, I'm like,
you're right there.
Word.
You don't have to read too much into it. It's all right there on the surface.
When they show the picture of his dad, that weird like photoshopped altered image of his dad, the only thing I could think of was looks like Christopher Lloyd and Vin Diesel had a kid. Like that dad had such a weird look to him.
Yep.
I just called Goiter Neck, and that was the title of that for me until I got the actual title of Smear in the
Smear,
ending.
yeah. It's another one that really gets me is the whole sequence with George Clinton, because that to me is the peak hilarity of the movie.
Are you in there? Oh, there you are, motherfucker. God. I want to fist bump you. Just cute motherfucker.
Yes, that whole bit, which you don't even realize, or at least I didn't realize that segment started with that demon girl and the white-eyed girl and the two things. Like, I was like, oh, they are gonna cross over eventually. Then it's like, oh no, that's always been the same segment. I'm like, okay, and that's prime hilarity from beginning to end there. With dude popping out of the toilet.
Oh shit.
Hey, B. Hi.
Oh my God.
Just these weird demons and their interactions with as two comedians.
That's the most like Adult Swimmy, I think. That's the most.
Oh yeah, it
funny.
absolutely.
It's got
that was Antibirth for me.
Yeah, especially when you actually meet the aliens, one of which is voiced by Hannibal Buress.
Yes.
They're in these big, fuzzy, weird monster costumes that look like they came out of some like Chuck E. Cheese nightmare, but they have video screen heads.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I was
that
like
that Chuck E.
was
Cheese
like
nightmare, exactly.
furry,
Yeah.
TV-faced, foul-mouthed, whatever. I don't know what I called them, but something like that.
Oh,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
they're
awesome.
just the aliens in Kuso. Like what else could you possibly call them? There's nothing else like them. Like the closest thing I've seen like those two things that have been in a movie has been Puka on Enter the Dark. You know, but even that's a far cry away from what these damn things are.
Yeah. And the voice talents that are lending themselves to the actions of these things just elevate it so high. I think that's such a fun scene because those are two guys that are funny anyway, and here they are having this interaction. It made me think, like, was this a voiceover thing where they're not there, or did they composite this? Are they right there doing these things? Because the actions did seem to line up to the words pretty well, and I wondered how much scripted they were, because they did just seem to just jive.
Yeah. You really do believe that everyone's in that same room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so no, I don't know how they fucking did it. He hasn't told anyone. Flying Lotus is kind of notoriously tight-lipped about that kind of thing. He's kind of in the same camp as David Lynch.
Okay.
Meaning he does not explain himself.
I think it's important not to explain yourself in this particular film.
It speaks for itself. You don't need to explain.
Well, yeah. You can pick out facts about the movie, like, okay, clearly this is happening after an apocalypse.
Yeah,
it has something to do with some sort of alien virus.
I was unclear how much was explained in that opening jazzy song, because while it was catchy, I wasn't catching every word of dialogue that was being said there.
He goes really fast.
And I'm like, how much exposition was being said? Maybe a lot. I don't know.
No one will ever save you. When you're dead, then you're dead. There is no coming back. Your God is from the underground.
Yeah, it's not a lot of exposition. It's mainly it's a lot of setup. It is a lot of setup, but it's mainly tonal.
Oh, it's like a jazzy Old
setup.
Spice commercial with how things are ripping away constantly and the sets keep changing. I was very impressed by that, because most of that's one take, and that's pretty great.
Yeah. What it really reminded me of, because I've seen some of Flying Lotus's other work, and this is like a reoccurring theme. And that reoccurring theme is, you turn on the television, it's the dead of night on a public access channel, and this weird thing comes on.
Yeah.
Duality was like that, and Kuso is like that. And some of his older work was also like that. You know, stuff like Kung Fu.
Mm-hmm. Does Flying Lotus do like a show for Adult Swim, or is he doing the stuff in between the shows? Like, what is...
Flying Lotus is hard to describe. He is very much an artist's artist. And the main thing that he is known for is his music, is his hip-hop. If you could call it hip-hop, it doesn't fit the strictest definition of it, but the hip-hop influence is very much obvious. But I wouldn't necessarily say, he's kind of almost in his own genre. And he's one of these people that, like, attracts, like, shall we say, an audience of people who like very strange things. And what a lot of people don't realize is that same desire for, like, fucked up media, you know, fucked up movies and fucked up music and what the hell is going on, and like the worship of nerddom and things like that. Most people forget that African Americans are also part of that.
Sure.
And in that world, Flying Lotus is huge. Like, he is really big, because he's the one everyone fucking knows. He's like a Weird Al. You know, he's like a you know, like, oh god, sorry. What's the guy who did all those, like, Thumb War movies?
Oh, I love those movies. What the fuck is his name?
Yeah. There's
I can't think of his name.
Yeah, there's like I can't remember. It's either Bob Odenkirk or Bill Odenkirk.
Oh, the Odenkirks.
Yeah.
He's
I will accept either. You have the last name.
He's the one who's not Saul from Breaking Bad.
Yeah. The Bob and David. No, Bob and David, right? Mr.
Bob and David is the
Bob
one
Odenkirk.
that's on Better Call Saul.
Oh, okay.
You know, the other Odenkirk is the one that did Kung Pao and did Blair Thumb and Thumb Wars.
Yes.
All that.
Thumbtanic.
Thumbtanic, yeah, all that.
The Phantom Cuticle. The man's a genius.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, Flying Lotus is very well known in that world as it pertains to like non-white nerddom.
No, you hit upon like I mean I'm probably the whitest person anyone's ever seen basically. So like I have problems.
Oh, I've
expressing
seen
this.
whiter. Don't worry.
Okay, I'm like
There are many filters on him
I
right
don't know
now.
if the lightness. Yeah, we have trouble lighting on our set because I'm so reflective compared to him. It's like crazy. But like yeah, like this is of experimental films. This is the most I should say.
Oh yeah.
Like hip hop infused and like yeah, all those different elements that you're saying. It you know it makes it so different, and that was such an experience for me.
Yeah. The only other movie I've seen that reminds me of it as far as style and tone is concerned is a movie called Wave Twisters.
Oh, I don't know that one.
That's a great one. It's very short. It's only like 45 minutes, but it is an animated film set to the music of DJ Qbert.
Okay.
Yeah, because he had this album called Wave Twister, and the whole idea of the album was, once again, you turn on a random television show, and some weird shit is on. And in that one, that weird shit is Wave Twister. But that's not what the movie does. Mm-hmm. The movie is set in the space between record scratches in an infinitesimal universe where one dentist in a spaceship must fucking combat a worm that comes out of a luchador's belly button for galactic supremacy.
You can only sell me so hard, man. I was in Twister. So many words ago.
Wave Twister. Ask for it by name. Watch it. Treat yourself. It's great.
I definitely will. Lee, you wrote that down, right? I'll have to check.
I'm logging all these things now. This is a treasure trove here.
I enjoy, please. You know, it's part of my mission in life to spread the gospel of these films.
I think this movie was great with you can tell the nerddom inside it, the little Easter eggs. My favorite scene might be when he does the scorpion, pulls the fetus out of her, and then just yeets it into her face.
Weapons!
Get over here!
Finish her.
Softy! Oh!
Yeah. Oh, snap! That's your problem? Yeet!
And it does the full, scorpion, get over here, etc.
I may be mistaken, but I thought the music played when they did it. Yeah. Which that's such a, the idea that you can get that cleared is already on a next level. That it wasn't just the get over here. To have the little sampling, oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, it's what I don't actually know if he cleared that.
I was just gonna say.
I like he
blow up his spot right here.
Yeah, exactly. Because like Flying Lotus samples all kinds of shit to the point where if you ever go in front of a judge, if he goes fair use, you're like, oh, I guess it kind of does completely change the context of everything, doesn't it?
Well, and nobody with money would get that far into the movie to see it, to want to sue him.
No,
be like, well,
that's
obviously there's nothing here for me.
That's the best armor you could have as a filmmaker. Sample whatever you want, make sure no one.
If this had been like a summer blockbuster or something, there probably would have been a lot of legal problems.
I was trying to find like how much did this movie cost to make? How much did it pull away with? And there's no information. I was like, this is horrible.
I didn't even look. I just assumed that it was like birthed spontaneously into being at some point in this whole thing. Like,
well, that's how
filming. What are you talking about?
Like that's how it fucking feels. The only reason I know so much about the movie is because a friend of mine is a friend would be overstating it, but like is a friendly acquaintance of Flying Lotus.
Inside track.
Yeah, so it was like, oh well, yeah, here's some couple of things about the movie. Did you but mainly what he was worried about was, oh, did you like it? And like my friends, like my buddy Jack loved it. He thought it was genius.
I definitely would watch a sequel to this. I'd want more about the actual characters we've displayed so far. I wouldn't want 4 new stories. I want to continue these stories. I want
to see what happens to this.
I really do. I think they've displayed enough here that I'm very interested, and they just tease you enough here where like you don't necessarily get a complete conclusion or an explanation or understand why people are in certain situations, like the Roach Girl, for example, which I forget what that story was called, but her thing, because it starts like in the middle of her already like insane and like buried and stuff, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
right,
It's
how
like,
did that
it's like
happen?
a Japanese, like some weird conceptual Japanese horror movie.
Yeah.
And then it turns into a
twists
joke
so
at
harshly,
the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She ends up on like a sitcom where she is it's called Sock because the show is called Sock.
Sock, yeah.
Fused to some other chick who's in the upside down version of her world. And
Yep.
I love that, and I also love that how it's filmed, and you see it's just this rectangular long set.
Sock is filmed in front of a live studio audience.
That I would love to believe is the actual set, just this tight rectangle, but it can't be because what we saw in the previous set. But it's such a that's the mindfuck nature of it, where I'm like, I don't know exactly what I'm looking at, and why you can't really understand how much this movie would cost to make, because there's so many things where it's like, well, there's so many effects happening here, even like the little things. Every scene has a little effect, be it a bug or a person's wink or some bullshit happening.
Yeah, you wonder how much of this stuff was used because someone had it lying around.
Yeah. Well, because some of that is actual game show footage from game shows that I've seen on the Game Show Network.
For the chance to win 600 nights in a motel.
I'd like to step in and question your existence.
Yes, that seems reasonable to me.
So, like, that must just be royalty-free, whatever, but they distorted the face enough that maybe they didn't get that cleared, and they fucked the footage enough that they could get away with it. It's hard to say. And it's only, like, in there for, under a minute, I would say. So...
Yeah. That... Like I said, the man takes remixing to a new level. You know,
like the Sock segment I want to mention too is like the perfect example where for a while, like that keeps you going, and like a lot of them do. I think this film does a great job of like stringing you out on like the disturbing or the darkness of it, and then kind of all the different stories in their own way begin to like kind of break and become like humorous or like much less sensical, but not in like a pretentious dark way, in this like funny fun way. Right?
No. It's all building up to like a punchline.
Yeah, but like the punchline is like to drive you insane, which I think is it's a very awesome experience. It goes in this place. Yeah.
I saw this on Shudder because that's where it worldwide premiered. If you want to say that.
I also watched on Shudder.
Yeah, and it is very obvious that the main reason Shudder picked it up is because it's a fucked up movie, because it's not really a horror flick. There are horrifying things that happen in it, but the tone of the movie is by and large comedic.
Yeah, it's like a comedy drama, but I think they could get it under their guise of like, well, it's kind of body horror at times, and it's certainly uncomfortable. We have enough gore here that we can pass this off. This is a Shudder movie.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like right at home among all the fucked up horror movies of like years gone by and stuff.
Well, like my aesthetic is like when she's biting the concrete, I was like, oh no, is this just gonna keep getting more and more disturbing? This is like oh no, whatever. But then it's like shitting dick nipples, and I'm like, all right, this is fun.
Yeah.
We're just enjoying ourselves.
Like, what?
No problem. Yeah. Because I was worried, like, oh, are we just gonna go deeper and deeper into this and like broken fingers and crawling in the dirt and stuff? And like, no, it's gonna be what? This is filmed from a live studio audience. Like it's a whole other right to pull the rug out from under you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that, the movie does that at every turn. You have no idea how the perspective is going to shift, and it's a lot. It shifts a lot.
Yes. Well, I loved that moment when he's like, and she goes, what are you in here for? What are you afraid of? And he's like, tits.
Yeah. Man who's afraid of tits. And of course it's like this nurse with these huge implants.
Oh yeah.
What about you? What are you so afraid of?
Okay, man who is scared of tits. Man who's scared of tits?
Man afraid of tits? Man afraid of tits.
Yeah, like when he
I want to see her story.
When he can't walk past her because of her ginormous tits, it's kind of like...
by the end, though, he's slapping George Clinton around.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, the fact that like that thing starts with man afraid of tits and ends with a man... rapping into George Clinton's asshole so he could talk to a bug that lives in his colon.
Yeah, it looked like a prawn to me. I was like, what is this thing? And ultimate
reminded me of the
rips off
Tingler,
his
actually.
leg.
Yeah.
He has to freestyle to coax out Quado to like feed him cure juice or psycho juice or something like.
Yep.
It's amazing. Yeah.
I think Quado comes later out of a girl's neck. That was the first thing that came to my mind.
Tell you every time it's not possible. Why do you keep trying to burn me? Alcohol. Oh, yes. It's not gonna work. You don't listen to me. She never listens to me.
And that was, to me, the most uncomfortable scene.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Oh, yeah. The one about the talking boil?
Yes, Royal.
Royal
yes.
the Boil. No,
I love you.
So like, that scene I think wouldn't have been nearly as uncomfortable if it didn't have a British accent. I don't know why it had a British accent.
No.
Like,
Agreed.
What's happening here?
Agreed. It had to be the perfect juxtaposition of something really fucking gross with a refined voice, because that's the joke. You know?
It seemed like the only real through line of all four of them is everyone has the grotesque like boils and like lip irritants and weird things.
Yeah.
Face.
They're all dying of some sort of like
like the plague or whatever
has happened. Like this is I in many ways I think it predicted COVID. I think it predicted COVID because it feels it. I think it really should find its audience right about now, because I think now people would really kind of identify with the whole scenario of like, I'm stuck inside. I don't know what's going on. And all I know is everyone's sick.
Yeah. And like,
life is hell,
going insane and like barely, because they have that little exchange where it's like, do they remember why it's like this? Like, do they even know why the world? Because I don't know why the world is like this, but I don't even know if they do, and that's even crazier, right?
No.
Awesome,
like, it's the feeling is you're supposed to be. You live in that world, and this is the weird thing that comes on when you turn on the television.
Everyone's world is so different there too, and I love that.
Yes.
That like it affected everyone differently. I like it. You mentioned how like it affected the audience and stuff, and I was like very curious how this was received by audiences. And I knew critics would never get it. So like critics was like in the 30s in their percentage on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh yeah.
But it seemed like the same deal across IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes for audiences were in like the 50s. And I was like I think that makes sense, because 50% of people would just walk the fuck out, and the other half are gonna be like, you got something here.
Yeah, exactly. You're not like, it's an acquired taste.
I wouldn't begrudge anybody for going, this is not for me. I'd be like, you're right, it's probably not for you.
Like,
but
I don't know
might
if
be.
IMDb doesn't have this data for us, I think, but like I imagine it's like super split, where like it's like 50% fresh, but people are giving it like 1s and 10s or something. They're like way out there.
I discovered this thing because I was listening to a friend, Amanda, who fucking hated it.
And what was her major complaint about it?
Hated it. Like, well, did she just hated it? And I was like, I gotta check this out. And I watched it and I loved it. So yeah. That's probably exactly how it went.
Because you can't be like, I don't know, whatever. Like, you can't have that reaction to this film, right?
No,
you
possible. You can't be ambivalent about this movie. You either hate it or love it,
I find like the only movies I really hate are the ones that are super slow, and this is anything but slow. It's got things happening constantly. There's
not boring
for more than a few seconds.
Yeah,
it is not a slow picture by any stretch of the goddamn imagination. Usually when you see like these kinds of weird movies, sometimes they have a habit of dragging on for a bit. Mm-hmm. This one goes at lightning fucking speed. And actually, another type of movie that I liken this to is trauma flicks.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. Very, very, very much on that page. I think that, like, I would have cut a little bit of the experimental films just because I really liked the actual parts of the segments, and I would have wanted more of those, but I guess that's just being greedy to say, like, I want more.
Oh, no,
Give
dude,
me
I
more.
wouldn't change a frame of this movie. Not a frame. Everything important.
I needed, what was it, Dr. Quiggles or Wiggles or whatever. I needed that segment to be like 4 minutes longer. I wanted more of that.
Oh, fair enough. Like there are definitely some parts where it's like we could have lingered on this a little bit longer, but it is what it is.
Exactly. Or it would have been cool if each of them got a little bit after the credit scene. Like we got to go back to our singing intro guy. Like give each one of them a little closing thing. I think would have been fun.
I was gonna say you do like a "Where Are They Now?" where it's like they got married.
You don't see that anymore. That would have been great.
Yeah.
Like the end of Animal House, just it pauses and his little text.
Yeah, or like Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that would have been good. But I loved the effect of just closing out with the fucking jazz singer coming back in at the last minute to just tell you the movie's over.
I really liked his thing when they cut to miniatures and all that shit. I was like, this is such a fun little thing, and it really does set the tone for like, what the fuck am I watching? And you're never disappointed. It does just escalate from there.
Yeah. It there's so many things it reminds me of, like Bad Channels.
Yes.
Is one of them. Amazon Women from the Moon is another one. You've seen Amazon Women from the Moon.
I have.
Good, excellent. Have you?
I have
Keenan?
not. No.
You haven't seen it.
One of our main shticks for our show is a little bit, Lee, have you seen this? And usually it's his first time, so we get a good back and forth between a new person watching something and someone who's seen it
I
before.
watched every movie for a little while, but then I stopped working at the video store in real life and was not able to watch all the movies anymore.
When did you? Amazon Women on the Moon is like a classic. That's like an 80s movie.
I watched all the movies that were released in a specific time frame. Nothing before, nothing
He
after.
means while he was on shift, he would watch
watch the movies, yeah.
Like,
no,
hey,
I love
Maguire.
Yeah.
I love movies I've seen.
He'll show you the money.
But I definitely have gaps like in between stuff, right? So this is certainly one of them. I've heard that title, I believe, but I've not seen that film.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
Bullshit or not.
I'll put it on the list.
We can add that to your queue.
All
right.
Yeah, it's John Landis' film.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you guys are dicks.
Oh, really? Softy shit.
Yeah.
Opening scene in the what the hell was there one in Royal? I was like, when he caresses her face, did he just break some of the pimples on her face, or is that something else? And then later on, after seeing the effect on Royal himself, I was like, okay, it is now confirmed. I know exactly what that was. And that becomes uncomfortable for a second reason. A lot of their situations.
Exactly what that was.
I wasn't sure where the movie was going exactly at that point, and I knew what had happened.
Like at that point, it's still early, so you're not sure how disturbing it is, or like in what ways it is disturbing yet, right? So you're not even sure where it's going with certain things.
Oil ejaculating pimple juice is disturbing.
Yeah. That's at the end. Yeah. The earlier part though, not yeah.
They definitely don't shy away from any awkward or uncomfortable scenes here.
Oh no, it lingers. It's like a Fulci film that way, like, hey, let's look at the really nasty thing. Keep looking. Slowly zoom in.
Like when she bursts in on her boyfriend, or not her boyfriend, but the guy that impregnated her, goes in through the window. That dude, I'm like, okay, that guy was committed to the role and he was willing to do whatever he needed to do.
Tim Heidecker, yes.
Yeah.
And I am sure that is his ass. I'm sure that's his gross
how
ass.
what do you think that's CG?
Yeah, I thought that he had a stunt ass. They were like, get some more disgusting dude in here. No, that's him. 100%.
The world of the goiter-necked kid, I think up until it got to the reason it was called Smear, I think that world was really interesting to me. I was like, what is this? What is happening? Like the Anders teacher character, I was like, is he happy this kid shit his pants? Because he does punish the other kid and puts him in a hole for laughing at it. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and then
is it celebrated?
Laugh. Right.
Yeah.
They all laugh at the end. Right. What's that? Film school?
That's called. You know what? You know what movie we really like? The Forbidden Zone.
The ice cream to the face was a very uncomfortable shot for me too. I was like, what are they? Does he know this kid? They just rubbing his face, just ice cream all in him. Seems so uncomfortable.
What's happening?
And my mind always goes to what is the on-screen direction when they are filming this scene. Okay, one of you kids who loves ice cream. Okay, we're gonna just roll with it. Roll with it. Is that your friend? Good.
Yeah. Have you ever seen This Is It by Donald Glover? Not Donald Glover. But Crispin Glover.
This Is It sounds so familiar. Give me the elevator pitch on that one.
All right.
Oh wait, is the cover a girl with like a whippy thing, and is that one?
The elevator pitch of this is that a retarded boy wants to become a snail.
I don't know if that is the one I'm thinking of.
Now, well, here's the thing. It might be the cover that you found. That might be it. There is a dance sequence in this with naked women who have animal masks on.
A friend from childhood had a poster of this movie on his wall, and that is I think what I'm thinking of. And it was signed by Crispin Glover.
But that would be it. That would be it.
Fun fact, if you Google "This Is It" movie, you get Michael Jackson's "This Is It," and I'm like, oh yeah, it's very disturbing. Good.
Oh well, I mean that's disturbing for a whole bunch of other reasons.
Didn't know Crispin Glover was in that, but I'll give it a watch.
Yeah. Like, I don't know how else to put that movie. It's about a retarded boy who wants to become a snail. Everything else is up in the air. And the weirdest part of that is that the actors are obviously also mentally disabled. So you're sitting there going, where is the line between art and exploitation? Well, apparently Crispin Glover put that shit in a cannon, shot in space, because forget about it. Like there's just there are no answers for you there, and God cannot help you.
The question for me is always, would it be better if it was people acting like they had problems, or is it better to have people have? Because
I think it depends.
Yes, it depends on the characters, of course, because one could be seen as empowering while one could be seen as mocking, and it's hard to say.
Yeah, I think the weird thing is it does somehow feel a little like we're crossing a line a little bit more than when South Park came up with the character of Timmy.
Oh yeah,
South
Park has free reign to do anything, it seems, and they always seem to be fine. While anybody else would get shot out of Hollywood, into the
It's kind of South Park's superpower is the ability to skirt that line and upset only so many people. I don't know how they do it. It's a gift, I guess.
You definitely
have some way of just not responding to the hate mail or something. They're just like, I don't care.
Well, they definitely never respond to hate mail.
Yeah.
Like I think
unless it's to mock the people who keep
in direct response.
Like, we're gonna do this with Chef. Yes.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I learned to do doing, the Count Jackula show was to either ignore the hate mail or make fun of it, because that's really all you can do, because the hate mail, it's just hate, it's just someone trying to get a rise out of you, either for their own edification or they're mentally disturbed or what. You can't even tell.
Jealousy could be love. Who's to say?
Yeah, who's to say?
Trolling,
you have no
fucking
day. Idea. Yeah. They could just be having a bad day, and you just have to be that thing to put them over the edge. Like and it could be anything. Because I've seen. I used to think it was because I do horror movies and people have strong reactions to horror movies. And then I realized that the person who got the most hate out of the people I knew was one of the people that talked about kids animation. And I'm like,
people have very firm views on kids animation.
Yeah. I was like, I was like, wait, why do they hate you for talking about kids animation? That doesn't make any sense. But he's like showing me his hate mail, and I'm like, that's a lot.
But that's just Tuesday.
People feel really strongly about Scooby-Doo and Huckleberry Hound, apparently.
I could almost understand it, because what do you know the longest, if not cartoons? It's something you are raised in, you have a firm belief, and it definitely changes every 10 years to be the exact thing only perverted to you to be hip to the new kids. And that's not your Scooby-Doo. That shit's an abomination.
Yeah, exactly. Like it creates a really, really hardcore reaction. And on one hand, I get it, but I don't get being mad at a YouTube presenter for it.
No, you should be mad at who makes that stuff.
Yeah. If you hate it, then your problem is with the show, not the host.
Yeah. Unless, I guess, that host is liking something you hate and they feel they have to take that out on them. But there's a thing called opinion.
But that's still stupid. Yeah, but that's still stupid.
Oh, yeah. It's unjustifiable.
No.
I have to at least think, why would ever this happen?
I'm saying that's what the hate mail would be. How dare you defend this? How dare you say that this show is okay? This show is horrible.
Yeah. And I'm luckily I do have to say this. Like, being a guy on the internet, you are shielded from the most vitriolic hate mail. Like the ones where you're like, Is this person going to do something?
No, like fewer credible threats of rape or kidnapping, right? You get to
exactly,
not zero, but few. We're just jealous because like we don't get very much hate mail at this point, so like we're still flying under the radar. I would love some hate mail.
I'll change.
Like, this person cares so much. This is amazing. We get like constructive notes or just like weird where like they didn't even watch it apparently and they're saying crazy stuff. Like it's very little.
Once you get to a certain point, that stops.
Yeah. I'm in.
That stops. The hate starts.
Lee just wants the swattings to start already.
Yep. Want to have a like relationship with the local cops, or it's like, no, this is just a thing that happens. Please don't.
Yeah, please don't knock down my door. Don't fucking.
It's never that. It's always pranks. It's a prank, bro. It's a prank. Come on.
It's always a prank. I wanted to say, if you had to pick an order of 1 through 4 of these segments, what would you rate as the strongest one versus the weakest?
Ooh.
And if you need
I
the
think
refresher, what were
the
segments?
strongest one would be Man Afraid of Tits.
Okay, so that's the Mr. Quiggle.
Mr. Quiggle, definitely.
Yeah, it's Mr. Quiggle. Yeah,
I would agree.
That one I think is the strongest.
Yeah.
It's got the most easily identifiable narrative, and it has a story arc.
Yeah. And it's a twist to me because you start off with a character and then you're like, oh, okay, we went here. That's a total different A to B conclusion.
And it's probably the most like Adult Swimmy, right? Where it's like irreverent and silly and fun, right? Some of the other ones
other
are,
than the actual animation one.
Right.
Hello, dispatch. It's me again. My father told me that Mommy's milk sack was rotting from the inside out.
The
that
actual
first animation one where it's like weird composite layers and morphing of mouth stuff, I was like, well, where's the rest of that one? Because he was telling like a story.
Oh, like the radio guy, the guy doing
yeah.
Let me tell you
it
a story
seemed like
about
there
my
was
father.
more. There was going to be more to that, and then it just kind of washed away. Because I wrote that down like that's probably one of the segments.
Yeah. You can just get to the end, it's like,
oh yeah,
you're a man now.
God, but if you were trying to track the segments, there's so many starts. Like I did the same thing where I'm like, okay, so there's like an infomercial with like a tentacle sex scene. You see actual nudity. Like, oh, this is gonna be like, no, that's just like a tiny like that. Turns out to just be like a one-off, right?
Hey, bitch, you wanna get shot?
Yeah, a lot of things are just meh.
Like
I had wrote down as a segment. I'm like, okay, you got the abortion alien girl, and then I had, guy and thing. I was like, oh, these are okay. It's the same thing here. I think the weakest one to me is probably the roach girl one. What is that one? Socks.
I really like Socks. I wouldn't say it's the weakest one, but I could see what you mean because
underneath
it is
Socks.
Possibly.
What
Smear,
would I put
right?
underneath Sock? Possibly Smear.
I would say
because stuff happens, but like the big question of why is never answered.
Agree. I think that's true in a lot of these actually. Smear to me, that beginning is so intriguing. It falls off at the end. I don't think the end has the payoff that I would have wanted.
Exactly. Like Socks has a payoff. Royal the Boil has a payoff. All the other ones have a payoff, even if it's a stupid joke.
Yeah,
Royal affected me the most, so that one I'm like,
I don't blame you.
Do we say that because that was their intention? Does that give it higher praise, or because I don't want that effect, does that give it a lower one? And I could go either way. It's hard to judge.
I had a similar visceral reaction to Royal too, which made it like stand out and like be
in
higher
every
than
part,
rated.
really, right?
Yeah,
like the first part, I was like, ugh, and then the last part, I'm like, oh god.
Even a very brief cutaway that I cannot quote.
What's my name?
Right in the middle, we're like, oh yeah, that thing's gonna come back. But Smear's the most like traditionally pretentious, I think, with like the weird fast motion part at one point and how there's like almost no dialogue or like literally no dialogue, right?
It's definitely the most arty,
artsy, yeah. Exactly.
It's the most art housey. With that said, it's still like a really grotesque ride. Which is
great to have
what
it
I look for
in the
in a
mix
picture
too, because it's not just all Mr. Quiggle stuff. It has different vibes and paces and tones and stuff to it.
Yeah. All the segments are strung together. All have a very different like feel to them as they progress. This is fantastic. I I love talking about this movie.
The order of sequences is really well chosen too, because it's not like 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes. Like the flow changes to end on a proper note that picks up here. And like you just said, like Royals has one where it's like 4 seconds in the middle of a thing, just to like, be like, like, bam, I punctuate this scene and I go right to the next stage. And like that gets tailored in with all the little random segments and one-offs. Crazy animations, like almost music videos at times.
Yeah, and then some of the sequences start like crashing into others.
Yeah, like the smear one, like he looks out and he sees like the alien. Oh my god, I loved the not fried. It was like a rotisserie chicken swimming in the water, and like that to me got a little worse as it like gave birth and stuff. But when it first swims, I was like. This is a visual that is weird as shit. I love this.
Well, and that's the alien like spaceships, right? When like the interceptors come out of the spaceship. So like that kid was getting a boner looking at one of the like cooked chicken alien things, pods, drones, or something.
Yes, he was. Right?
That's and then later they're all sad because it's like something's broken about it, right? It's like I don't know. It's great. It really makes.
Well, yeah. Like smear is interesting because it has the it feels like the joy and shame of discovering masturbation in a really weird way. I don't know.
I can see that.
Yeah. Like that's not what's, well, I mean, it is kind of what's literally happening, but like,
No, he discovers a secret out there and like overcomes the will of his mother to go and like do his own thing. That's what I mean. It's like literally like an artsy like art film sort of thing.
I was expecting a payoff where the mother killed the father because it like was that directly his eye in the chowder? Like did she actually because the eye like kind of socketed back in and like that guy toward the end is all gray and doesn't kind of look like the dad picture any longer because it's a weird photoshopped horrible picture that couldn't be a person. But I was like, all right, I'm here for the ride, and I wanted a payback of like the guy coming out of that little like egg thing and like going back to the house because the mom's like a whore now, and he could have killed her and all those dudes or something, and it would have been an extra little like pop
like Creep Show. He like comes back.
Yeah,
His revenge. Yeah.
Get rid of my comic book stash.
I think there was a lot of subversion things where you thought things were going to go a certain direction and almost never did anything ever go in a way you would expect it to go.
No, it doesn't. Not unless you've been warned ahead of time. There's no way you could have predicted it.
Yeah.
You don't expect something that starts the way Socks does to end up in a fucking sitcom joke.
No. And why would you?
Yeah, there's no reason for you to think that that's going to happen.
It doesn't feel like a cop out. Like, oh, they didn't know how to end this, so they did whatever. Because there's more after that, and it gets weirder. Even though it's getting fun or like goofy or something, right? Yeah.
It's just sort of like they ended it like they would tend to end these segments after they reach their peak, which is right after they do their twist on you.
Yeah.
And then they let it run for a little bit longer, and then you're in the next segment. So you don't. The movie doesn't give you a lot of chance to breathe.
No, almost none. You couldn't take up, like, if this was playing, like, nowadays nothing plays on TV anymore, but you could not take a pee break in this movie without the ability to pause because you would have no idea what happened. You could watch the movie and have no idea what's happening. There's so much happening.
Yeah. This is a movie that you could put on the wall of a fucking nightclub at some point during the evening, and you would have just as much fucking context for what happens as if you had just watched the movie.
I think that's what's so impressive, that it's written by one dude and not 4 different writers and some interlude guy, because like it has that feel of I cut these random stories. It doesn't seem like one mind could make these. That's such a feat to make such a weird thing, and also maybe a reason for therapy at times, because this is like
this movie is therapy. This is Flying Lotus doing therapy, right? This
is I don't know what he's working through, but I'm glad.
Had to get it out
because there's themes. There's a lot of
there is.
There's a lot of shit in this movie. etc. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of there are consistency things, and yeah. But if they didn't all have the same types of boils or like weird, disfigurement from the apocalypse, I would be more likely to think like, oh, these are just like he's just curating weird short films and like wove together he like remixed them together into this. But no,
yeah, but they're clearly made.
It seems like it's like not just curated, it's like orchestrated by him, right?
Yeah. It's like he and a bunch of friends made like 4 different films, and then he remixed them. He remixed like his own movies that he had shot, but at the same time, because there's this deep connective tissue between all of the segments, it's that it had to have been shot with this in mind. This was done completely on purpose.
The same
he got ungodly lucky somehow.
That should be on the box. This was done completely on purpose.
Kuso, right? It's done on purpose.
Like on the tagline.
I looked up what Kuso means. It's Japanese for shit.
Yes.
And that applies.
I saw a thing that it was the like Japanese name for a genre like that, like pulp or some type of film or whatever.
Yeah, but it's the same meaning.
Because it comes from that, right?
Yeah. Kuso's a little bit more closer to crap.
Okay.
So imagine that they called the genre crap.
Yeah.
And that's what you got. There are a lot of other things in that genre. I don't know what the actual like qualifier and classification is. It seems to vary a little bit by person to person, but like some other movies I've seen like described in that same genre are Dead Sushi, Zombie Ass Toilet of the Dead, fucking Robo Geisha, Mutant Girl Squad, things like that.
Interesting. All right.
Learn something every day.
Certain ones of those I feel are kind of different. So I guess it does have a broader sense of what a Kuso movie can be. I like that. Something I want to mention before I forget. I love the weird secretary lady at the coat hanger clinic, and the moment that guy like has had enough and he's like, I will spit everywhere.
I'm going to spit everywhere.
And he just punches her in the face, and then she like hits a button and like just like elevators her way out of there, and then like you're an airplane, like the autopilot comes up. and takes over seamlessly. I thought that made me laugh out loud. It's a fantastic shot.
I loved all of that, and then the amount of time he spends talking to the blow-up doll, and he can like understand its squeaks and like has a whole conversation. That takes it, because it's not just this like why not. It like takes it to the next level. And
it keeps going.
The next level, right? It keeps going.
I like that guy that played. I've seen him before, but really I can't picture anything I've seen him in. But he had great. I liked his little song. I liked his whole thing, his relationship, how he's dealing with people. Very good interaction. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in some more fun things recently, soon.
I think he might be a comic. I'm not sure. His IMDb has
it wouldn't surprise me at all.
In it. Yeah, I liked him too.
Just the way he seemed to like just dance around and just chew the scenery in between things, like when he's celebrating. Just his whole like the charisma he put on screen.
Yeah. I've seen that guy in a few other things, but I haven't seen him often enough to remember his name.
It definitely has some familiars. Something there.
So
I've probably seen him in like music videos or something,
which would also make sense.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the Buttress. Do you know her as a musical artist before this? Because I think I may have discovered her now from this. But
yeah. She's a musical artist. She has a YouTube channel. I don't know how quite to describe her. She is kind of, maybe a good way of describing her is she's kind of the female Gigi Allen of the hip hop set.
That's good.
That's high praise.
Is that song in here just one of her songs, like the video too? Yeah.
Yep. Like, you can find the full track is, I believe, on her YouTube channel.
There's some dude who's super intense in that waiting room, and at one point he pulls a smoke bomb out, and it goes to do like the ninja vanish, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I like paint the backstory in my head where like that was supposed to be a big smoke bomb. It didn't work and they rolled with it and it became out perfect, but it was probably scripted. But I like to put a little something on there whenever I'm watching something.
Well, yeah, because you're trying to figure out like what the creative process of making all these little decisions is.
Exactly.
You know, like it's one of those, like, you wonder how much of this came fully formed out of the head of Zeus and how much was, well, we can make this work, you know, like on the fly kind of decision making.
Exactly.
And it's impossible to tell.
Well, nobody felt like they were like, you know, like when you watch a movie and like in every movie, there's a line that just doesn't hit you right. You're like, oh, you don't know how that word's pronounced, or it doesn't sound like you would say that. In this movie, everything felt very genuine and off the cuff. So I was like, I don't know how much improv was happening. Like, was he like, this is the gist of what I want you to say, and people just did it, especially in all like the Mr. Quiggle stuff. Like everybody's lines really felt like they were having fun and having real conversation. And that's always very impressive.
But at the same time, you're like, because of the nature of that segment, because of all the different shots and all the different things that have to be put together in order to make that work, it had to be done on purpose.
Oh no, of course.
You know, like,
no, and like
it's just a testament to how good these actors were.
Yeah, like the dialogue.
Yeah.
The dialogue also never felt like sometimes like a comedy or like even like a random low budget movie. Like you can tell they were just like, okay, talk about this and then walk to there and just say anything, and then the actors try to come up with something and it sucks or whatever. Like this never felt like that, but it does feel like you're saying like casual and like natural in a way where you're like,
it does feel like everything was written. And I another movie that is like that, although it does have its parts where it kind of, you're like, all right, obviously they put this in later because they need to put some connective tissue between these two things, is Citizen Toxie. You know, Citizen Toxie or Terra Firma by Troma. Like there's very little flat acting. It's either chew the scenery or go home.
Yeah.
You know, like, because you can get people to go over the top. It's really hard to do a nuanced performance because it's just going to get lost in the tone of the film anyway. You know?
My favorite line in almost any movie is Toxie's father says to him, he's like, my boy, my son. It's just said in such a way where I'm like, that couldn't have been what you like. It's so good. It's such a weird way of saying something. I think I've played that on, like, you know, you hit A, B on the DVD player like 1,000 times. It just burned it into my brain. My boy, my son, my son.
You know?
My boy, my son.
I am the Big Mac. I am the Big Cheese. You could call me the Big Mac with cheese.
You might say that I am the Big Mac with cheese.
Oh man, we love Troma. You know, Lloyd's great. We had the pleasure of putting Lloyd in a movie once, and he just stole the show.
Man, yeah. Oh man, what movie was it?
It's called Hello, My Name is Linda, and he plays a superintendent, and like he just shows up and he has like a Russian newspaper and he's just reading his thing, waiting for his turn to be filmed, and he's just like sitting there, and we're like, okay, Lloyd, we'll be starting up in a few minutes. He goes, I need a plunger, and we're like, oh right, we don't. All right, hang on, and we just send somebody and they like steal one from a gas station or something. Like we got him a plunger. It is an active used plunger, and he's putting it in all these actors' faces, and it was so funny.
Open that door. Open it up. Here, step on this, Jewel.
Hey, Mr. G.
Hey, who's that nice little cunt you had? Pretty little blonde cunt coming in here, right? You
What'd you
wouldn't
say?
know what to do with her if she spread her legs and dripped on your nose.
What are you talking about?
Before this, you're afraid. You're like, oh no, does he just tour the country, you know, like ripping people off, and like, because he's sitting very nonchalantly, he's like no energy, everything's chill or something like that. He's not doing any of his stuff, and then when he gets called to do it, he just turns it on and does this insane level of things. Does things that no one told him to do. Does things that
he was one of the highlights of the movie. Just what he pulled out of his ass. It was so funny.
Yeah, it's like watching like some of these old pros. Like have you ever seen Ozzy in concert?
No, I have not.
Okay, Ozzy Osbourne's got a very similar thing. Like, because the guy is ancient, right?
Oh, yeah.
Darkness is like, that guy's held together by like heroin residue and like dried alcohol particles and shit.
Bits of broken needle are just.
Yeah. That's what's holding them together. And when he first comes up to the microphone in any of his live shows, including the last one he did, he's kind of toddling up to the mic, and you're like, oh shit,
like he's old.
There's a decrepit nature to him.
Yeah. And you're like, is he gonna fall over? He's like looking like the crypt keeper and shit, you know. But the minute he actually starts on that mic, he's jumping all over the place, you know. And you're like, oh no, he could still do it.
He's like, conserving his energy 99% of the time. So
exactly.
He can release it when he has to. It makes sense. You know, you only got so many performances left in you. You can't be wasting it by walking fast.
Yeah. I know, right? You know, and I think that Lloyd is the same way, you know, because like that's because I know as like I get older, that's what I worry about. I don't worry about like how active I'm looking if I'm watching a movie or sitting on a couch. I care about what's happening once that camera starts rolling.
Sure.
You know,
do you bring it?
Yeah, exactly.
That was my take.
Exactly.
It was kind of like well, I'm not going to give this away. Like it has to be rolling on the camera. I'm not just going to joke around with you over here, right? I'm doing this one. Like guys, let's do the thing. Yeah, because that's his deal. Yeah.
But super nice guy, came off as like just felt super intelligent. Like I'm like, this guy should be like playing chess while he's signing autographs.
Lloyd is very, very smart.
Yeah.
You know, and he's also just a joy to talk to.
Yeah, he was super friendly. He gave the whole cast posters. He's like, yeah, just gave shit. I'm like, you're an actor here. You're giving the crew shit. I'm like, that's awesome. Took pictures of everybody. Super cool guy.
Hey, there's only $4. You owe me $1.
Yeah, he's kind of like the Stan Lee of fucked up movies.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Stan. Yeah. Well, I mean, I felt like I had to say that because Citizen Toxie starts with a Stan Lee voiceover.
I love Stan Lee. I was fortunate enough to get a picture with Stan like just before he died. I was like, nah, I gotta wait in this long line. It may be my last chance, and it was.
Yeah, no, I've done the same. Like that's a line that it's like I don't care if I'm here all day. This has got to happen, you know, man. But yeah. R.I.P. Stan. Excelsior. Keep writing them fucking hits in the sky.
There'll be a whole backlog when we get up there. It's gonna be great.
Oh, dude, like, yeah, we're gonna get like, you know, we're gonna get up in heaven, and one of two things is gonna happen. We're gonna get there, and he will have made up with Jack Kirby, and they would have completely rewritten the New Gods franchise, or they would still fucking hate each other, and there would still be two amazing pieces of work for us to enjoy.
You're forgetting the third option. We're all in hell.
Oh well, I mean, if we're all in hell, Look, I'm sorry. Both Jack Kirby and Stan Lee are dead. Hell is here.
I was just gonna say we are in hell already. There's another world where when you die you come here. Like there's don't be crazy.
Oh man, wouldn't that be like fucked up? Like you die, but then you go into like an alternate universe version of your life, but like something is different. But you don't necessarily know what it is, like, you know, like that Simpsons thing where here it rains donuts.
Yeah.
You know, or like here you're half insect or like something like that. Actually,
no, you're just the most failure version of yourself living Groundhog's Day, except it's not a day, it's the whole lifetime.
It's your whole life. Yeah. And you're just trying to figure out what it is you're supposed to do to get out of this goddamn loop. Now, the sad thing is, if you are a Hindu or a Buddhist, they would say that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
But you do have an opportunity to get. I'm picturing no opportunity. You're just fucked. You had one lifetime to do it right, and if you did it wrong, you're gone.
But like you don't know, because unlike Groundhog Day, you don't have like the memories from life to life. So So you can't continue to refine it. You might have gotten very close 1,000 lives ago, and now you just. Still,
you've been off in the weeds ever since.
Yeah.
You're actually just a battery in the Matrix. If you fucked up that first time, you don't ever get a chance.
What is the thing? I thought about that whole battery in the Matrix thing, and I did realize one thing that's good about it. Your life does have purpose. It just doesn't benefit you.
You're contributing.
you're contributing. It just
you're
doesn't
working
benefit
together
you.
with your fellow citizens to do a project. It's good.
That might be the best take on the Matrix.
Yeah, at least life have purpose in that
It
one.
was originally supposed to be like your brain was like a CPU, like processing power, which makes more sense.
Yeah, but I
They
think
were like, no one
the
gets that,
battery
make the
analogy created the better metaphor. You know, I
you're draining
think
the life force from people to use
exactly,
it.
because that's how everyone feels in a white collar job. Like
Yeah.
blue collar jobs, you feel exhausted, but you don't feel like something, your soul is being pulled out of you, you know, every minute of the day. Whereas in the white collar world, in the office world, like the life's just being drained out of you because nothing you do matters. But for some reason, it has to be done.
What's the vampire movie where you're
Yeah.
in the little sacks and you're on the walls like you're in the dry cleaners and they're stuck on your blood? Is that Daybreakers? Which one does that?
That sounds like Daybreakers. Yeah.
They're just everyone's there. You're my life force is slowly getting sucked out. Oh, I generate a little more. Oh, you take a little
Your
more.
blood bag, yeah.
Yeah. Just meat for the machine. You are fuel for Moloch from fucking Metropolis and shit, you know?
But this was a fun movie. I was definitely I was like, oh, what are we getting into at first? And then it definitely took me on a ride that I'm glad I watched. I don't know that I would have watched it otherwise. I'm not much of the experimental type movie guy.
You need to come to me more often. I'll show you some shit.
Absolutely. Thank you for making us watch this. I feel like that's awesome because this is probably not something we would have normally watched for the show, right? So this is an awesome thing to branch out and experience something. It's such a unique take on an experimental or like weird sort of film, and I really appreciate it. I'm gonna look into all these different people that we're talking about that were involved in this,
do it.
Probably a lot of stuff there, yeah.
We're definitely going to be turning a new leaf in these in the Zoom movie reviews because we only ever watch physical media. And this one, I couldn't even find a DVD.
No, there is none. There is none.
I saw a single picture on a German website, and I was like, I don't even know if it's bootleg. I don't read German. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. The only physical copies of this movie that are for sale are all bootlegs.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is now this once again brings up Flying Lotus. You're like, wait, did he do that on purpose? A little bit, yeah, because that's how he has gotten distribution before, which is he will bootleg his own shit and get it into the market.
Yeah,
that's what he did with Duality. That's what he did with Kuso. So if I really would love there to be like an Arrow Video or Vinegar Syndrome probably is a little bit out of their wheelhouse, but like Synapse or something to do like a Blu-ray of Kuso and give it the release and respect that I think that the movie deserves. It could at least give it the decency and respect that fucking Greasy Strangler got.
I definitely have to check that out. It's been in my queue for so long. Like that came on Amazon quite a while back. And
don't eat while you're watching that movie.
Oh yeah, I watched the trailer and I know what I'm in for. and that definitely is a
that one stands
as like a challenge. Nice.
Oh no, this is I've seen movies that are more fucked up. But The Greasy Strangler is the single most disgusting movie I have watched. Like it's not even necessarily what you're watching, it's how you're watching it. You'll know when you see it. You'll understand when you see it.
It's how you're watching. I picture Jack's there with one of those like foot massagers that bubbles, but it's full of spaghetti, and he's like, ah!
Let me put it this way. Like, there's a scene where a guy is just making breakfast, and it is just disgusting. And he's not like putting boogers or anything.
Did you get a camera into my kitchen? What are you talking about?
The guy's just frying bacon, and you're like, oh.
Oh, this sounds intriguing. This sounds amazing.
The power of filmmaking.
Yep.
Any last thoughts on this film before we call it a day?
Kuso, it's a fucking masterpiece. You should be watching it already.
All right. I would agree. I think this is a thumbs up. I think no matter what you like in movies, you can take away something from this. There's so much happening there.
Yeah, everyone should go and watch it.
Right.
Yeah, you'll know in the first 5 minutes whether or not you can get through the next hour and a half.
No, you should commit to it. You should force yourself to get through.
Maybe make it a group watch. That way you have people bullying you to stay.
Yeah, this is like this is fucked up movie boot camp. Like this is like no, get in there, soldier, get done.
No, but with that like Adult Swim hip hop or like urban like aesthetic, I think it's going to be a lot more accessible to maybe the Zoomers who like when you try to make them watch weird horror or like weird films, they're like, this is old and weird, I don't like this or something.
Well, yeah,
is,
because
like,
it's
cool. It's new.
Yeah, because it's all based around old horror is all based around suburbs. Suburbs ain't old gray mare. She ain't what she used to be. That's why it tends to work best when, rather than trying to recapture that in the modern day, you do like a rewind, like Stranger Things did.
I think this is like a horror movie a movie for the TikTok generation with like, oh, you don't have a good attention span? I'm just gonna keep hitting you with shit. Bam, 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 got you.
Definitely made with like short attention span in mind. I'll tell you that. Yeah, I'll agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Jack, for joining us. If you want to again plug, where can they find you?
You can find me on YouTube at The Count Jackula Show, or Twitch also at Count Jackula, or you can follow me on Twitter at Baphomet Jack, or if you want to follow me on Instagram, that's Satanic Jackula. And remember, kids, Ave Satanas, Disco Inferno, and keep watching fucked up movies.
Indeed. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Don't Die in a Fire, and we'll see you next week. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. Don't Die in a Fire, and we'll see you next time.
If you want to support the show, head over to cannibalvideo.com, pick up some merch.
And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's something.
Whatever.
Fuck these motherfuckers.
That's the shit. That's that doo-doo. You got that shit.
Cannibal Video has everything you need. A wide array of VHS and DVDs. We ate the competition, now it's only us. Our expert staff opinion